Okay, so today we'll discuss about EC2. Then what exactly we'll revise again what exactly the meaning of cloud computing. The term cloud refers on-demand delivery of IT services like infrastructure, platform, software, applications, then like AI kind of solutions, artificial intelligence, business intelligence, machine learning. Most of them over the internet we are delivering, and the billing is based on the usage. Means if I use more, we need to pay more money, and if I don't use it, we no need to pay the money. The billing is based on mostly the usage wise we are going to pay. Okay, so that's pay as you go. Mostly the services, what are the services the cloud is going to offer for us is important. We can tell that like IaaS. IaaS stands for infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service. Then second one is PaaS. PaaS stands for platform as a service. Then third one is SaaS. Software as a service. Mostly the cloud delivery models we have mainly these types we have. So we are going to deliver the infrastructure, platforms, and softwares we are delivering. Okay, so then what exactly the meaning of infrastructure? What exactly the meaning of infrastructure? So we are delivering the infrastructure like we are delivering the infrastructure means in the IaaS we are delivering servers, okay, storage, networking, all the hardware kind of devices. Okay, so we are going to get it okay from the IaaS. From the infrastructure we are getting the server, storage, networking, all the hardware we are getting. On top of that, so we are going to use the like a whatever the hardware we want previously, it's very expensive kind of thing. Upfront we need to pay a lot of money, but by using the cloud, what is the main advantage is, what is the main advantage of using the cloud?
How much we use,
Yeah,
that
only
much we
for
need to.
that itself we are going to pay that. If I use it, I'm going to pay more money. If I don't use it, we no need to pay the money. Okay, so if we use it, we need to pay the money. If I don't use it, we don't need to pay the money. That is the main advantage of using IaaS, infrastructure as a service. Then the second one we are getting is platforms. What is the meaning of platforms? Say we develop a software like using the coding like front end, back end kind of technologies. But in order to deploy those things, we need application servers, then we required web servers, then we required like mostly database servers, then we want that environment also in the app server like Java, .NET, okay, so then PHP, Node.js, so these kind of things we have. Those once we deploy those paths, we are going to make sure. Okay. Then on top of that, we required even some of the middlewares also, message queues, SMTP kind of servers. These all comes under PaaS platforms, those all. But previously, we need to go for infrastructure. On top of that, we need to set up the softwares. We required installation, configuration, upgrades. Like we have lot of manpower is required for the IaaS and PaaS. But what is the advantage by using the cloud? What is the advantage by using the cloud? Like all the IaaS, as we no need to take care anything, no manpower, no hardware, no OS, like no need to install, no need to update. Everything we are getting from the cloud, just use it. If you get the hardware related, we are calling as IaaS. If you get the platform related, we are getting those platforms as the PaaS kind of services. On top of that, even we have the SaaS also. So if I go for the SaaS, already ready-made softwares we are getting. Just we need to use those softwares and need to pay the money. Okay, so now here we are getting ERPs we are getting, or we are getting like applications we are getting, or we are getting even custom softwares also we are getting. Okay, so these all we are going to deliver from the SaaS. So these all we are going to deliver from the SaaS, and we just using those applications, and based on that we are going to deliver them. Okay, so those we are going to deliver. Okay, so mostly initial days, the cloud is going to provide IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS kind of thing. But today, not only these categories, we have the categories related to artificial intelligence, business intelligence, machine learning, data science, data warehousing. So like this here, more than 20 plus when like different categories we have. Okay, security related, DevOps related, crypto related. Okay, so like this here we have lot of categories have been added. Okay, the main advantage is most of the technology related things under one roof. We are going to use the cloud. Lot of people having one misconception is we have the softwares or we have the storage remotely we are storing it, and whenever we want we can use it. That is technically or partially it's correct, but like it's not only that services, even more than that we can deliver from the cloud. So more than that we are going to deliver from the cloud we are going to deliver. Okay, yeah, any doubts on this? So even not only AI means artificial intelligence, BI, machine learning, data science, data warehousing, then we have IoT kind of things. Okay, so even we are getting IoT. Okay, all these we are getting from the cloud. Okay, so then like we just need to use those services. Lot of manpower can be reduced. Lot of jobs also going to be like loose, but always cloud will create the jobs also. Okay, so there is one misconception, like cloud will kill the jobs, but parallelly what is going to happen is the jobs will be created also by the cloud. Okay, how many jobs are getting created? That many jobs also are going to be taken care by the cloud. But what we need to do is we need to adopt those skills. We need to adopt those skills. Okay. Any doubts on this part?
No, sir.
Okay,
No,
so
sir.
then say here mostly like we are going to get the computing kind of. What is the meaning of computing is like that CPU memory what we have in the server, those we are calling as the computing resources. In order to run the business logic or in order to deploy our applications, websites, web servers, database, backend, we definitely require the computing resources. Okay, even we require the storage for the persistency, networking is required. All those mostly comes under IaaS. Now, from the AWS wise, what is the solution we have for the IaaS is EC2 is the solution. Okay. Okay. What is the meaning of EC2?
Elastic Cloud.
Yeah, it's Elastic Compute Cloud. So EC2
Okay.
stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. So with the EC2, what is going to happen is we are going to get the servers. Okay. So now if I go for the EC2, okay, it stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. So compute elastic means we can stretch it whenever we want, or we can reduce them also. Computing means CPU and memory we are calling as the computing resources. Then what exactly the cloud is? From the AWS cloud, we are getting those services. Okay, so that's we are calling as Elastic Compute Cloud. Then EC2 is providing only computing resources we are getting. Then, like here we have one more service from the AWS that's called as EBS. EBS stands for Elastic Block Storage. Okay, so in the EBS, what we are doing is Elastic Block Storage we are going to use, and in the EBS, we are getting the services related to persistent storage. If we don't have the storage, what is the problem is, if my server restarted, I'm going to lose my data. But we want the persistency. That is the reason we are going to use those EBS volumes we are going to keep. Okay, so that's we are going to use EBS we are going to use. Okay, so then we require the networking. Then who is going to provide that networking? Who is going to provide that networking? Like here we have the services VPC. So VPC we are going to use virtual private cloud. Okay, so then with all these, we are getting a virtual computing environment. That virtual computing environment in the AWS we are calling as an instance. So what is the meaning of instance? Like it's a virtual computing environment which we are getting from the AWS environment, and that's called as an instance. That's called as an instance we are calling. Okay, so if someone asks about instance is nothing but it's a virtual server, but it's not only using EC2. What are the services it is using? It is using EBS. It is using even VPC also. We are going to use EBS. We are going to get that. Okay, so then what are the three services? EC2 is providing what service? Computing. EBS is for the
storage,
persistency storage. VPC is going to provide even networking,
network.
all the related. Okay, then here we have one more service from the AWS. We have CloudWatch. So CloudWatch is used for monitoring purpose. So for the monitoring purpose, we are going to use the CloudWatch. Then we have the Cloud Trial also we have. So Cloud Trial we are going to use for auditing purpose. Okay, so what is that auditing also we'll discuss. Say suppose if multiple people are going to perform those operations, we are going to use cloud trial. That's I'll tell one use case. Say here we have 10 admins we have in our company. Someone deleted an instance. Who deleted that instance? At what time we are going to delete? Okay, so then we are going to use. So then what is going to happen?
We will use cloud
We
trial.
can trace,
We'll
we
use
can
the
trace who
cloud trial. Yeah,
deleted.
from the cloud trial, all the administrative events are going to be recorded using cloud trial. So what is the difference between CloudWatch and cloud trial?
CloudWatch is for just monitoring, and
CloudWatch is
cloud
for
trial is
monitoring. Cloud trial is for,
cloud auditing purpose.
yeah, for the cloud trial we are using for the auditing purpose. We are going to use it. Okay. So then say here these all the things which are related to EC2 related we have. Okay, so what is the meaning of your instance is a virtual computing environment or a virtual server from the AWS cloud we are calling as an instance. Okay, so the virtual server environment from the AWS is calling as an instance we are going to call. Okay, so that's like we need to make sure those instances what operating system it is supporting is it's supporting Linux, it's supporting Windows, It's supporting Mac also, but Unix is not supported. In the Unix, normally we have Solaris, or we have HP Unix, we have. Okay, so then IBM having AIX, so those are not supported. But Linux, in the Linux also we have Ubuntu, Red Hat, CentOS, Fedora, Debian. Okay, so Amazon also have Amazon Linux. Like this, we have the different. And in the Windows also don't expect server class. Only we can expect. We don't have desktop class like Windows 10, Windows 11 like that. Okay, then we have the Mac also. So Mac, what is the thing is? So with the Mac we are getting like for the graphic kind of thing. For those we are going to use the Mac kind of things. Okay, so these all we are going to get it from the AWS like EC2 instances we are getting. Which operating system we don't get is like Unix we are not getting, and mostly desktop class also. EC2 is only for the data center kind of server class missions, mostly to deploy our applications, to run the business logics, websites. We can use the EC2 instances we are going to use where our business logic would be running. And even we can run the logic, some applications we can run, nodes we can run. So normally whatever the servers we required, those all we are going to deploy on that. Okay, so we are going to deploy on that. Okay, yeah, any doubts on this? So these we are going to use. So we'll come back again to this presentation. So as we discuss, Amazon Web Services is the world leading and most comprehensive and broadly adapted cloud platform in the world. So competitors we have for this is Azure we have, GCP we have, and OCI we have. Okay, and mostly we are going to use like Ali Cloud, OCA, Oracle Cloud. Then we have IBM have their own cloud. So like this digital ocean, there are hundreds of providers, but among those AWS is the leader, and millions of customers they have. Those are maybe large scale MNCs, fast growing startups, government agencies. Most of them we are going to use. But coming to Indian government, still now Indian government not accepted to keep their government data in the cloud. So normally we have our Aadhaar data, like election commission data, those not supported by government of India to keep in the public cloud. Then what is the solution we have? We can use that in the private cloud we can keep, but government of India are not given to keep in the public cloud. Okay. So then say even the largest footprint of data centers also we have with the cloud, we have with the AWS itself we have, compared to Azure or GCP also, the largest footprint of data centers also we have with the cloud itself we are going to use. Okay. Then we have the we are in a community kind of thing. Like in that global community, everyone need to follow those guidelines, even architecture wise also. Like these we can call as the 6 pillars kind of thing. So what are those we have is operation excellence, security, reliability, performance efficiency, cost optimization, sustainability. By using the AWS kind of cloud, even every client will get these all the things. Every client is getting these all the things by implementing the cloud. By implementing the cloud, so these all the things we are going to get it. Okay, so what are those? We have the operational excellence, we have the security, we have the reliability, and we have performance efficiency, cost optimization, and sustainability we are going to get. Okay, so these all we are going to manage. Okay, then coming to the AWS global infrastructure, we have the regions, available zones. Yesterday we discussed, right? We have in the global infrastructure, we have the regions and available zones. Then we have edge locations also. We have edge locations for the content delivery CDN we are going to use. Okay, then we have wavelength zones also we have. Then even local zones also we are going to keep. If the company set up like 1,000 crores like that, they're ready to keep in their on-premises also. Nearest to them, they're going to keep the local zones also. Okay. So wavelength zones for the 5G kind of networks, we are going to use those five wavelength zones we are going to use. Okay. So then what is EC2? EC2 stands for Elastic Computing Cloud or Elastic Compute Cloud. So on-demand, high scalable computing resources we are getting from the EC2, and those we are calling as instances. Those virtual computing environment from the AWS environment we are getting as instances. We no need of hardware, we no need of processor, we no need of storage, hard disk, network, switch, firewall, NIC adapter, everything is taken care by cloud itself. We are just using the computing resources and we are paying for that. How much usage we have used, for that we are paying. If I use more, I'll pay more money. If I don't use it, we no need to pay the money. So that's on demand, high scalable also. Which of the servers we can't expect physically, even that scalable servers like high performance computing servers, supercomputers, so those also available from the AWS. We just need to use them and need to pay the money. Okay. So how many number of servers we want? Those all the servers we are going to get it. So those all the servers we are going to get it. And if I use those servers, I'll pay more money. If I don't use it, we no need to pay the money. So that is the main advantage of using that. Okay, so then already we discussed those EC2 features like regions, available zones, all this. Then we are going to get the security groups also we are going to get. And those security groups we are calling as the firewall rules we are calling. So what is the meaning of that is by default for the security purpose, AWS is going to provide the firewall and those firewall rules we are calling as security groups. So that means which ports we need to open, all that. The firewall is going to filter the traffic what is coming to the server, and by based on the security groups, we are going to set up that. Then we are going to use like a IP address also, like VPC is going to provide those IP addresses, all these features also will discuss. But mostly the AWS also, the backend it is using virtualization itself. Okay, it is using the virtualization itself in the backend. So what is the concept of virtualization is, instead of having the physical resources, we are going to maintain the virtual resources. That means normally if I give a server for us, we can install one operating system in that. But if I use the virtualization, we are going to virtualize that physical resources on a single hardware. I can run multiple operating systems. The processor level, memory level, storage level, and even on the networking level also we can virtualize. That's at the hardware level we are calling that server virtualization we are going to perform. Okay, so what is the advantage is, whenever we want thousands of servers in the AWS environment, AWS doesn't maintain thousands of servers. They will maintain 2 to 3 servers. In that, they are going to run the hundreds of servers they are going to run. Maybe to run that 1,000 servers, they may maintain only 5 to 10 servers they're maintaining. That's going to reduce a lot of hardware costs and they're going to reduce a lot of like a data center size, data center cooling options. Like that, we have lot of advantages of using the virtualization. That means if you go for any of the cloud, the base is virtualization is the base. Okay, so the base is the virtualization. Okay, so based on this virtualization, we are going to we are going to manage those virtualization we are getting, and like what is the main advantages, the server cost can be reduced, infrastructure cost can be reduced, cooling options, green IT practices. We have a lot of advantages. Coming to the virtualization types, like we have the server virtualization, desktop virtualization, and application virtualization. What is the concept of server virtualization is using the server virtualization on a single server, we are going to run multiple applications we are running. Okay, by using the desktop virtualization, like the desktops also can be delivered to any device. And application virtualization, the applications also can be delivered to like any device. We no need to develop those applications. We no need to install those applications. On demand, those applications can be delivered. Okay, so that's we are going to maintain application virtualization we are going to use. Okay, but in the EC2 kind of servers, which server virtualization will play the vital role? Which server virtualization plays the vital role? Server, desktop, or application? Which one?
Server, sir.
Server virtualization. So using the server virtualization, we are going to virtualize them. Okay, so that's we are going to use the server virtualization we are going to manage. So server virtualization is the process of one physical resource can be virtualized into multiple servers we are going to use. Okay. Then, like, what are the different type of server virtualizations we have? Is we have the VMware, like we have ESXi server or vSphere, Citrix Gen server. We have Microsoft Hyper-V, but AWS is using a Gen server. They're going to use. Okay. Then using the Gen server, we are going to virtualize. Later they went for their own hypervisor also called Nitro. We'll discuss those. Okay. But we have lot of advantages at the data center level. And if in, one single server, uh, like uh, like what is the main advantages on a single server you are getting like uh, uh, s- uh, multiple virtual servers we can deploy. Okay, so that is the main advantage of using the server virtualization. You want hundreds of servers, hundreds of hardware if AWS maintains. That's very like a overhead they have. But with the virtualization, they have added the automation, and data center wise also we have a lot of benefits. Okay, so then what they are going to use that hypervisor and the server virtualization uh, that another name is the hypervisor. And what is the hypervisor AWS is using is GenSource. If I use the Google is using kernel virtual machine. If they go for Azure, Hyper-V they are going to use. Like this here depends upon that requirements. We need to choose which type of hypervisor we require. Okay, so which type of hypervisor we require, that's we need to manage.
Sir, can you come again? What is hypervisor?
Yeah, hypervisor is the another terminology for the server virtualization. It may be a bare metal or it may be an software, OS, firmware, which is having the capability of running multiple operating systems on top of that. Okay, so multiple operating
Okay, sir.
systems we are going to run. We have the different type of hypervisors in the market. Okay, so that's we have VMware, vCenter or ESXi server, Gen server, then Hyper-V, KVM. But AWS is using Gen Source, which is an open source version of Gen server. Okay,
Okay, sir.
so
Okay,
then
sir.
on top of that, say suppose if you go for VMware vCloud is using ESXi server. Okay, if you go for this one, Citrix Cloud is using Citrix Gen Server, but here it's not using Gen Server because that is a Citrix licensed product. Gen Source is an open source. Okay, the hypervisor, or we can call as virtual mission manager or virtual mission monitor, which is a computer software or firmware or operating system. Okay, so which is having the capability of running multiple operating systems, which is having the capability of running multiple operating systems. Okay, so then we have the two types of hypervisors, those also we'll discuss. One is type 1 hypervisor, or we can call that as a bare metal hypervisor. Then we have type 2 hypervisor or hosted shared kind of hypervisor we have. So mostly in the data centers or cloud, we are using type 1 hypervisors. On the type 1 hypervisors, we are going to maintain the hardware. On top of that, we don't have any operating system, on the bare metal itself, we are installing type 1 hypervisor. Okay. But if I use the type 2 hypervisor, we are using the hardware. On top of that, again, we have the host OS. In your laptop, you may have like Windows, Linux, or maybe MacBook. On top of that, hypervisor is running as an application, it's running. But in the type 1 hypervisor, in the type 1 hypervisor, is running as the bare metal itself. In the data centers, in the cloud also, mostly we are using type 1 hypervisor. Okay, what is the other name for type 1 hypervisor is? It's a bare metal hypervisor. It's a bare metal hypervisor. Okay,
Okay, sir.
and then like what are the types of hypervisors we have in the market, we'll discuss. So now here we have the VMware ESXi server we have, then Citrix having Gen server, then Microsoft having Hyper-V, then Red Hat having KVM. Okay, then AWS is using
Gen server.
Gen Source. That is an open source version, not Gen server. Okay, even they have Nitro hardware also now. What is that Nitro also? We'll discuss. Azure is using Hyper-V. Red Hat is using, sorry, GCP is using KVM. Google Cloud is using KVM. Why they're not using VMware is the license is very expensive. Okay, the license is very expensive. That is the reason they're not using that. If that is that much license is there, even for us also they need to charge more money. Okay. Any doubts on this part? Okay. So tomorrow we'll create like a one AWS account. We'll log in. We'll create these instances. Okay. So tomorrow onwards
Okay,
we'll
sir.
start with the lab. Okay. Sure.
Oh, sir, can we have 2 minutes of time?
Sure. Sure. 1 second.
Can you please stop recording this screen, sir?